Snow whirls outside my apartment window as I remove my hospital ID badge, the plastic clicking against the kitchen counter. The scent of cinnamon and apples wafts through the roomy signature bread pudding cooling on the stovetop. Christmas lights twinkle on my modest tree, casting warm shadows across carefully wrapped presents stacked beneath its branches. 12 hours on my feet in the geriatric ward have left me bone-weary, but a quiet smile tugs at my lips. This year will be different. This year, I'll be good enough. My phone buzzes. Trevor's name appears on the screen, and I press the speaker button while hanging my winter coat. Hey, sis. His voice carries that casual lilt that always precedes bad news. Got a minute? Just got home from shift. I adjust the heat on the bread pudding, reducing it to warm. Everything okay? Yeah, about Christmas. A pause, the kind that makes my stomach clench. Marissa's coming this year. Oh? The spoon in my hand trembles slightly. That's nice. I've been looking forward to meeting her. Thing is, she's a little sensitive too. Trevor clears his throat. Heavy energy. The spoon clatters against the countertop. What? Maybe it's better if you sit this one out. Blood rushes in my ears. My fingers grip the counter edge. You're uninviting me to Christmas. Our family Christmas? Every year you sit there all serious, barely talking. His words tumble out faster now. Mom says it brings the mood down. Marissa's new, I don't want her to feel uncomfortable. My gaze drifts to the suitcase by my door, packed for the visit I've spent months planning. I see. Don't be like that, Teresa. You know how you get. The bread pudding's sweet aroma turns cloying. I switch off the heat completely. How I get, I repeat, each word precise as a surgical cut. Yeah, you know. All doctor mode, too intense. It's just, I have to go. I end the call, my hands steady despite the tremors running through my chest. An hour passes in a blur of mindless tidying. When my phone rings again, Mom's name flashes on the screen. I consider letting it go to voicemail, but habit wins out. Hi, Mom. Honey. Her voice drips sweetness, the kind that coats bitter pills. Trevor told me you're upset. Did he tell you why? We just think. She pauses, and I hear the shift in her tone, the one she uses when talking about Marissa, bright with admiration I've never heard directed at me. It might cause tension if you come. We may not answer the door. My fingers trace the edge of a perfectly wrapped presente cashmere scarf I spent 3 extra shifts to afford. You're actually doing this. Don't be dramatic, dear. There's always next year. Maybe if you tried harder to be more festive. The words settle like lead in my stomach. 20 years of too serious, too quiet, not fun enough, crash over me. I think of my elderly patients, how their eyes light up when I sit with them, how they thank me for listening, for caring, for seeing them as people instead of problems. I don't argue, don't plead. My banking app opens with a few taps. $1,200 monthly mortgage support for my parents. Cancelled. $6,000 art studio loan to Trevor. Terminated. $2,500 for Mom's knee surgery rehabilitation. Stopped. No announcement, no explanation, just the quiet click of buttons. The kitchen table welcomes me, surrounded by Christmas preparations that suddenly feel hollow. Steam rises from my chamomile tea, curling in the soft glow of Christmas lights. I should cry, should rage, should feel something beyond this strange, floating sensation. A text lights up my phone. Merry Christmas early, honey. We'll figure this out next year. I set the phone face down and watch Snow Blanket Boulder in silence. For the first time in years, I feel lighter. Empty, yes, but lighter. The presents can go to my elderly patients. The bread pudding will make the nurse's break room smell like home tomorrow, and I will finally stop trying to buy my way into a family that never had room for me at their table. Have you ever realized the people who should love you most can't see who you really are? What would you do when the family that takes your support decides you're not good enough for their Christmas table? Snow blankets boulder on Christmas morning, muffling the world outside my apartment windows. The tree stands dark, its cheerful lights unplugged since that phone call. Through the glass, early sunlight catches ice crystals, turning them into prisms that scatter rainbow fragments across my living room walls. My scrubs rustle as I tuck the last wrapped present into the hall closet. No point keeping them out now. The soft wool of the cashmere scarf I bought Mom brushes against my hand as I push the door shut. My phone buzzes with another round of messages from coworkers. Maria from pediatrics invited me to her family dinner. Dr. Coleman left a voicemail about the staff gathering in the break room later. Even the night shift nurses sent a video of their potluck celebration. I swipe away the notifications and open the family group chat. My thumb hovers over the screen. Photos flood my feed. Trevor carving the turkey, his sleeve rolled up to show the tattoo I paid to have removed 3 times. Mom's antique china glinting under candlelight, the set I helped her track down piece by piece on eBay. Marissa in the center of every shot, wine glass raised, her laugh seeming to echo through the screen. A text from Mom pops up. "Merry Christmas, honey. We'll see you next year, maybe." The phone slips into my pocket as I grab my hospital ID badge. Work feels more like home today anyway. An hour later, the geriatric ward greets me with the familiar scent of disinfectant and the soft beeping of monitors. "Mrs." Chen waves from her bed as I pass, her arthritis-twisted fingers clutching a tattered photo album. Mr. Rodriguez dozes in his chair, the television murmuring, "It's a Wonderful Life" in Spanish. Dr. Hartman. Agnes Miller catches my wrist as I adjust her pillow. Her paper, thin skin, feels cool against my hand. "You're the only family some of us today." I squeeze her fingers gently. Then I'm exactly where I need to be. The morning passes in a blur of small moments. Straightening blankets, listening to stories of Christmas mornings from 50 years ago, holding trembling hands through blood draws. The staff brings me coffee, dark and strong, leaving it outside patient rooms where they know I'll find it. "You didn't have to work today, Lisa," the charge nurse says as she hands me a patient chart. "Thompson volunteered to cover." This is better than sitting home alone. Her eyes soften with understanding. She's seen enough family dynamics in this ward to read between the lines. "Margaret Wilson in 412 asked for you specifically." Margaret sits propped against pillows, silver hair neatly braided, a small Christmas cactus blooming on her windowsill. She pats the chair beside her bed. "You look like someone carrying a heavy weight today." My professional mask slips for just a moment. Margaret catches it, she never misses much. "Family isn't always blood, Dr. Hartman." She adjusts her oxygen tube. "My son hasn't spoken to me in 30 years because I wouldn't give him money for another failed business venture. The hardest lesson is learning that blood doesn't always mean love." Across town, I imagine the scene in my parents' house. The dishes will be done by now. Trevor always times the cleanup to finish before the evening movie marathon. He'll be showing Marissa the photo wall, pointing out vacation snapshots and graduation portraits. That's when it happens. At home during that time, that's Dr. Teresa Hartman. Marissa's voice rises in recognition as she stops at my medical school graduation photo. The room goes quiet. She saved my grandmother's life. The silence stretches as she continues, wine glass forgotten in her hand. "My grandmother said she was the first doctor who made her feel like a person, not just a patient." Trevor shifts his weight, that nervous tell I've known since childhood. "Hey, who wants to watch White Christmas?" But Marissa's gaze lingers on the photo, on the sister who should be there. The questions form in her eyes as she looks around the room, noticing the empty chair, the careful way everyone avoids mentioning my name. Later, she'll corner Trevor in the kitchen. "Where's your sister? Why isn't she here?" He'll fumble through explanations about my intensity and Marissa's sensitivity. Each word will plant seeds of doubt, of realization. The family's facade will crack just a little more. Days later, Marissa's social media post appears, to Dr. Teresa Hartman, who saved my grandmother with exceptional care and compassion. "Thank you for your sacrifice working this Christmas while others celebrate." You represent the best of healthcare. The post spreads through Boulder's tight-knit community. Art gallery patrons recognize Trevor's last name. Mom's Bridge Club whispers over their cards. Dad's golf buddies ask pointed questions about his doctor daughter. The family's carefully constructed image begins to crumble, one shared post at a time. The same days later, back in the geriatric ward, I hold Margaret's hand as she drifts to sleep. The Christmas cactus drops a coral bloom onto her blanket. Outside her window, the sun sets behind the flatirons, painting the snow-covered peaks in shades of rose and gold. My phone stays silent in my pocket. No more family photos. No more forced holiday cheer. Just the quiet certainty that I'm exactly where I belong with people who see me, value me, appreciate the gift of presence over presence. Sometimes strangers recognize the truth that family refuses to see. Sometimes the kindness of patience heals the doctor. Sometimes Christmas miracles come wrapped not in shiny paper, but in the simple recognition of worth. Have you ever discovered someone's true value only after others pointed it out? What does it say about us when we value strangers' opinions more than the quiet dignity of those closest to us? Share your thoughts below. 2 weeks after the incident, snow blankets Boulder in bitter white as my phone lights up for the 20th time this week. Trevor's name flashes on the screen, accompanied by a bank notification. Payment failed, art studio loan. I delete his message without reading it, just like the others cluttering my inbox. Can you reach out to Marissa? Clear things up? Trevor's losing gallery connections. Your father's golf buddies are asking questions. The steady tick of my kitchen clock fills the silence as I sip chamomile tea, watching more snow gather on my balcony herbs. Dead now, like so many other things this winter. A formal letter arrives from my father, the heavyweight paper carrying his law firm's letterhead. The words swim before my eyes. Concerns about your increased working hours and signs of professional burnout. My fingers crease the paper's edge. At work that week, Susan from HR catches me between patient rounds. Dr. Hartman? Your father called about arranging a mental health leave. She studies my face with careful concern. I told him all leave requests need to come from the physician directly. I thank her, my voice steady. In my office, I open the bottom drawer and add his letter to a growing file labeled Documentation. 8 years of canceled checks, loan agreements, and payment records nestle beneath it. My cousin Rachel sends a text with a yoga retreat voucher. In case you're feeling overwhelmed, sweetie. Everyone's worried. The same cousin who borrowed $2,000 last spring and never mentioned it again. The next few days also bring more concern about my mental health, but I just brush it off, focusing on work more. Friday afternoon brings an unexpected visitor. Marissa stands in the hospital corridor clutching a bouquet of winter whites. Her designer boots click against the linoleum as she shifts her weight. I didn't know you weren't invited to Christmas. Her voice carries none of Trevor's practiced charm. They talk about you like you're some distant relative, but my grandmother can't stop praising the doctor who finally listened to her. I maintain my professional distance, hands clasped behind my back. The flowers she holds remind me of the decorations I'd bought for the family dinner I never attended. Trevor told me he supports your career. Marissa's mouth twists. He made it sound like he was the responsible older brother looking out for his kid sister. I paid for his art studio. The words fall like snow, soft but cold. And their mortgage, and Mom's knee surgery. Marissa's fingers tighten on the bouquet stems. He never said. All those dinners at expensive restaurants, the gallery openings. Her voice trails off as understanding dawns. They used your money to exclude you. Before I can respond, my pager buzzes. Mrs. Wilson in 302 needs attention. Excuse me, I murmur, already moving toward my patient. Some responsibilities matter more than others. Sunday afternoon brings heavy clouds and heavier footsteps outside my apartment. The knock echoes like a gavel strike. Through the peephole, I see them clustered in the hallway. Mom in her good wool coat, Dad gripping his leather portfolio, Trevor with a stack of papers I recognize as overdue notices. Teresa, honey? Mom's voice drips sweetness. We just want to talk. I opened the door exactly 3 inches, and the security chain was drawn tight. The familiar scent of mom's perfume tries to pull me back to childhood holidays, when I still believed trying harder would make them see me. No, the word comes out calm, like delivering a diagnosis. I start to close the door. Wait. Trevor thrusts the overdue notices toward the gap. You can't just. The door clicks shut with quiet finality. I've been paying your bills for 8 years. My voice carries through the solid wood, clear and measured. Years of calming anxious patience has taught me the power of a steady tone. You've been taking my money while treating me like an obligation. Mom's intake of breath sounds sharp. That's not fair, honey, we've always. I won't fund my own exclusion anymore. Silence stretches between us like a flat line on a heart monitor. Dad clears his throat. This isn't like you, Teresa. A laugh bubbles up, surprising in its lightness. Through the door, I say what decades of silence have buried. You never knew who I was. Their footsteps retreat down the hallway, leaving only the whisper of papers sliding under my door. Payment demands, guilt-wrapped in legalese, the price they assumed I'd keep paying to belong. I gather the papers without reading them, add them to my documentation file, and return to reviewing patient charts. Outside my window, though, has stopped falling. The late afternoon sun breaks through, setting the white landscape ablaze with unexpected light. My phone buzzes with a text from Mrs. Wilson's granddaughter. Thank you for sitting with Gran today. She said you made her feel heard. I touch the screen gently, a smile tugging at my lips. Some debts don't need to be paid to be worth something, some family you choose. And some lightness only comes after you stop carrying other people's weights. The next day, the hospital corridor stretches before me, gleaming under fluorescent lights. I pause at the nurse's station, signing off on Mrs. Jensen's updated care plan. Sarah, one of our newer nurses, glances up from her computer. Dr. Hartman? Your parents stopped by earlier. I didn't know they lived in Boulder, too. My pen stills against the chart. They don't. The words come out quieter than intended. They needed something. Sarah's eyes widen slightly, but she says nothing. The silence fills with understanding I never wanted to give. I focus on my signature, each letter precise and controlled. Down the hall, Mr. Garcia waves from his doorway. His thin face brightens as I approach. Doctor? Hartman, look what my grandchildren sent. He holds up a handmade card covered in glitter and wobbly letters. They're coming to visit next week. I lean against his doorframe, smiling at his joy. Here, in these quiet moments with patients who value presence over performance, I find the belonging my family never offered. The morning passes in a familiar rhythm of rounds and consultations. During my lunch break, Beth from reception appears in the doctor's lounge, holding a cream-colored envelope. This came for you. She sets it beside my sandwich. From a Marissa Wilson? My stomach tightens at the name. I open the envelope carefully, unfolding a single sheet of heavy stationery. Dear Dr. Hartman, you didn't just save my grandmother's life last October. You made her feel alive again. The way she lights up talking about you, the doctor who listened, who remembered her stories about teaching in the 1960s, who treated her like a person instead of a problem to solve. The Teresa they describe at family gatherings and the doctor I met that day at the hospital, they're two different people. Or maybe they're the same person, seen through very different eyes. I'm sorry they couldn't see what was right in front of them all these years. With gratitude and regret. Marissa. The paper trembles slightly in my hands. I read it twice more before standing to grab the simple black frame from my desk. The letter slots in perfectly, edges aligned with careful precision. I position it next to my medical school diploma. These twin testimonies to who I am when no one is trying to make me smaller. That afternoon, a local reporter interviewed me for a feature on geriatric care. I speak about dignity in aging, about listening to patients' stories, about honoring the full lives behind each medical chart. The article runs the following week, my photo alongside quotes about compassionate care and patient advocacy. My colleagues share it online. Comments flood in from families of former patients. Dr. Hartman saved my father's spirit while saving his life. She gave my mother back her voice when others had stopped listening. A month later, the story circulates through Boulder's tight-knit community. At his latest gallery opening, Trevor stands alone by his paintings. Our parents find their usual social circles suddenly busy with other commitments. Their carefully curated image of the perfect family splinters under the weight of whispered questions about the doctor-daughter they never mention. I didn't attend the opening. I'm volunteering at the Senior Community Center, helping Mr. Peterson compose an email to his estranged daughter. His gnarled fingers hover over the keyboard. 20 years. He shakes his head slowly. Pride cost me 20 years with my child. Don't let it take that from you, Dr. Hartman. This isn't pride, I answered softly. This is knowing my worth. Later that night, an email arrives from my mother. The timestamp shows she's been writing and rewriting it for hours. Dearest Teresa, we miss you. Your father keeps saying the house feels empty without you dropping by with your bread pudding. We never meant to hurt you. Can't we start over? Family should stick together. Also, dear, could you please speak to Marissa about taking down that social media post? Trevor's having trouble booking new galleries. His career is at stake. Love. Mom? No mention of Christmas. No acknowledgement of 8 years of financial support. No recognition that family should stick together rings hollow when they couldn't make room for me at their table. I read the email twice, noting the familiar pattern. Crisis brings them to my door, but only to fix what's broken, never to repair what they broke in me. The email goes to the archive unanswered. Outside my window, spring snow dusts the sidewalks. I think of Mr. Peterson, typing slowly to bridge 20 years of silence. Of Margaret Wilson, whose grandmother still talks about the doctor who listened. Of all the small kindnesses that build real connections, and all the grand gestures that never filled the hollow space where family should have been. My phone buzzes with a text from Elena, my mentor in geriatrics. Saw the article. You're changing lives here, Teresa. Proud to work alongside you. I touch the framed letter on my desk, then my medical school diploma beside it. The snow falls silently, covering old tracks, leaving clean pages for new stories to unfold. Some say blood is thicker than water, but what happens when that blood runs thin with conditions, expectations, demands? What happens when family treats you like nothing until they need something? I've learned that walking away isn't always an ending. Sometimes it's the first step toward becoming who you were always meant to be. A month later, sun glints off stacks of fresh peaches at the Boulder Farmers Market. I adjust my canvas shopping bag, filled with local honey and summer tomatoes, while Dr. Elena Martinez tells me about her grandson's first steps. The morning air carries hints of kettle corn and fresh bread, mingling with guitar music from a street performer nearby. A sudden hush from my colleagues breaks through our conversation. My spine stiffens before I see them. Some warnings don't need words. Teresa! What a coincidence! Mother's voice rings out bright as a new penny. She weaves between produce stands, Dad trailing behind her like a shadow. Their presence feels wrong here in my Saturday sanctuary, like discovering a snake in your garden. Dad's eyes fix on my shopping bag. The last time he looked at me directly was 8 years ago, when I handed him the first mortgage check. Trevor hangs back by a display of sunflowers, shoulders hunched. A woman beside him examines organic kale, carefully not watching our family tableau. We've been trying to reach you, honey. Mother steps forward, arms outstretched for a hug. I won't return. Her perfume, same one since 1985, threatens to overwhelm the market's honest sense of earth and vegetables. Elena's hand brushes my elbow, a silent signal. I'm here. Your father's grilling next Sunday. Mother smooths her linen blouse, a gesture I recognize from countless family photographs. We expect you at 6. Not an invitation. An announcement. The old Teresa would have nodded, would have shown up with a bottle of wine and an aching smile, desperate to prove her worth. No, the word falls between us like a stone in still water. Don't be difficult, Teresa. Mother's voice drops to a stage whisper. We're trying to make things right. Are you? The question comes out calm, professional. The same tone I use discussing terminal diagnoses with families. When did you decide that? When Trevor's gallery connections dried up? When Dad's golf friends started asking questions? That's not fair. Trevor steps forward, abandoning his sunflower sanctuary. This isn't the place. You're right. I met his gaze. The place was Christmas, when you uninvited me because I was too serious for your girlfriend. Mother's fingers flutter to her throat. Honey, please. The place was when Dad called my hospital suggesting I needed mental health leave. A sharp intake of breath from Elena. This is news to her. The place was 8 years ago when I started paying your mortgage. My voice carries across displays of organic honey and handmade soap, and funded Trevor's studio, and covered Mom's knee surgery. Heads turn, whispers ripple through the market crowd. Mother's tears start right on schedule. How can you embarrass us like this in public? I feel Elena shift closer to my shoulder. 2 more colleagues materialize nearby, a quiet wall of white coats and scrubs, my chosen family, moving into formation. I'm not embarrassing you. The truth flows easy now, like clean water from a spring. I'm telling the truth. You couldn't find room for me at Christmas, but you found time to call my workplace and suggest I was unstable. You excluded me from family photos but cashed my checks every month. This isn't like you, Dad says, his first words of the morning. You're making a scene. A laugh bubbles up, surprising me with its lightness. You never knew me, Dad. You never tried. What do you want from us? Trevor's voice cracks. The same break I heard when he called about Christmas, only now there's fear underneath. Fear of empty bank accounts and unpaid bills. Nothing. The word tastes like freedom. I don't need to be invited back into a family that never valued me. I've found people who see me for who I am. I glance at my colleagues, these people who trust my judgment and value my quiet ways. That's what family should be. The sun warms my face as I turn away. Guitar music fills the air again. A vendor calls out about fresh peaches. The market returns to life around us, reality rushing back into the space where our family fiction finally crumbled. Elena falls into step beside me as I walk toward the heirloom tomato stand. Her silence speaks volumes, the kind of quiet support I never found at home. Behind us, I hear Mother's voice rising. Teresa Marie Hartman, don't you dare walk away. But I'm already gone. My steps light, my back straight, my heart beating steady and strong. The truth weighs nothing at all. A year later, on Christmas Eve, snow drifts past my window, each flake catching the glow of white Christmas lights. The scent of apple cinnamon bread pudding wafts through my apartment, rich and sweet, mingling with fresh pine from the Douglas fir in the corner. Light reflects off vintage glass ornaments, casting warm shadows across framed photographs, moments captured with patients, colleagues, friends who became more. Marissa's letter sits on my mantle, framed in simple silver. Her words about my grandmother's care face outward, a daily reminder that sometimes strangers see us more clearly than family ever could. The gentle tap of knuckles against my front door breaks the quiet. Come in, I call, sliding another bread pudding into the oven. The door opens to familiar faces: Sarah from pediatrics, John from radiology, Elena from physical therapy. Their arms overflow with dishes and small gifts. Something smells amazing in here, Dr. H., Sarah says, setting down a crystal bowl of cranberry sauce. Her holiday sweater sparkles with tiny lights, a holdover from the children's ward Christmas party. More colleagues filter in, filling my once quiet space with gentle chatter and laughter. A timer chimes and I pull out the bread pudding, golden brown and perfect. The ritual soothes me this time. I'm cooking for people who choose to be here. Teresa? A soft voice cuts through the noise. Margaret Wilson stands in my doorway, leaning on her walker but stronger than last Christmas. Her silver hair catches the light, expertly styled for the occasion. You made it. I cross the room, taking her coat. The walker clicks against hardwood as she settles into the armchair I've saved specially for her. Wouldn't miss it. Margaret pats my hand. To think, a year ago I was stuck in that hospital bed, certain it would be my last Christmas. And now look at you. She grins, adjusting the red shawl around her shoulders. All thanks to the doctor who saw me as a person, not just another chart. The doorbell rings again. I open it to find Jenny, a young nurse, shifting from foot to foot in the cold. Sorry I'm late. The drive from the night shift was slippery. You came straight from work? She nods, unwinding her scarf. Wouldn't skip your Christmas gathering, after what you did for me during that whole mess with my parents. Her voice trails off, but I understand. We gathered around my dining table, mismatched chairs squeezed in tight. Stories flow between bites of turkey and spoonfuls of bread pudding. Margaret shares tales from her nursing days in the 1960s. Elena describes her grandmother's secret tamale recipe. Jenny talks about learning to build her own traditions after walking away from toxic family patterns. Sometimes I wonder, Jenny admits, pushing cranberries around her plate, if I did the right thing, setting those boundaries. The table goes quiet. They all know pieces of my story now, whispered in break rooms or shared over late-night coffee. Sometimes the family we choose sees us more clearly than the family we're born into. I say, the words rising from a place of peace rather than pain. That's what I've learned this year. A knock at the door interrupts the murmurs of agreement. Margaret's eyes sparkle with something knowing as I rise to answer it. Her granddaughter stands on my welcome mat, cheeks pink from cold. I brought someone who wanted to meet you. She steps aside to reveal Marissa, holding a small gift wrapped in silver paper. I hope it's okay, Marissa says. I've been wanting to thank you properly for everything with Gran. The silence stretches between us, heavy with unspoken understanding. Then I step back, opening the door wider. There's plenty of bread pudding. Marissa settles into our gathering like she belongs there. When she mentions her recent separation from Trevor, no one offers empty platitudes. These people understand that sometimes walking away is an act of self-respect. Your grandmother asks about you. She tells me later, as others chat over coffee and dessert. She says you saved more than her life that day in the hospital. You showed her what strength really looks like. I think of the brother who couldn't make room for me at his table, the parents who took my support while withholding their acceptance. A text lights up my phone. Merry Christmas. We miss you. From Mom. No manipulation this time, no veiled requests for money or reconciliation. I set the phone aside without responding, turning back to the warm circle of my chosen family. Margaret launches into another story about her nursing days, her hands painting pictures in the air. Jenny leans forward, entranced. Sarah adds her own hospital tales while John groans at the medical humor. These people see meth, quiet strength, the dedication, the heart beneath the professional exterior. They don't need me to be louder or lighter or different. They pull up chairs to my table and bring dishes to share and understand that family means making room for who someone truly is. I used to think love meant being the one who stayed late, who fixed everything, who never needed thanks. But real love doesn't make you beg for a place at the table. And a family that only values you for what you give was never family to begin with. Looking around my living room, at these faces lit by Christmas lights and warmed by connection, I finally understand. Sometimes the hardest act of self-respect is recognizing when to walk away and when to build something new, something real. The snow continues to fall outside my window, each flake finding its own path to the ground. Inside, laughter rings against my walls, and the scent of cinnamon and apples wraps around us like a promise. I found my way home at last.